Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays offside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benny. Sills.
Hello and welcome to this latest Gull'S Eye View. It's obviously a very difficult episode, but I'm joined by Clive, Rachel, and Tommy. We're going to talk about obviously the mix. You're going to see a lot of probably emotional opinions about things as fans. We've done a brilliant Kelly's Corner. We've got a fantastic range of answers, but we're also going to talk about some of the positives, try and put a bit of perspective on things. We've got obviously an update on the Torquay United women. We've got stuff from Rachel, a beautiful story as well on International Women's Day, and just about what actually supporting a football club is all about and all of our family connections. So we're going to try and do a bit of a range of it. As always, obviously, we're fans. We're just saying our own personal opinions on Talkie Talk. That's what it's all about. But yeah, we've got about an hour and 15 for you to all enjoy. We've just finished the episode. And yeah, thanks for watching. We're going to start on a positive corner, not Kelly's corner, Clive's corner. We're going to talk about Talking United women and their fantastic performance and results today. Clive, take it away.
Brilliant. Bishop's Lydiard, the sequel this afternoon, played at the Rec in Newton Abbot, out on the grass, and honestly, it was a hurricane start. It was fantastic. I felt a bit sorry for the opponents, really, because as we know, Torquay went up to Somerset and won 8-0 last weekend. First goal goes in after 30 seconds today. Connie Pengelly with the first of a hat-trick. She gets a 15-minute hat-trick. By the end of the first period, we're 7-0 in front. Connie's got 4 of them. Player of the match for me, though, actually was the right winger, Beth Everson. Pace, power. If I had a fiver for every time she got to the byline today, I wouldn't have to work this week, I don't think. She was brilliant today, absolutely superb. We came off the gas a little bit second half, made some substitutions, but if we'd scored 12 or 13, it wouldn't have flattered us. Final score was 9-0. And overall, on International Women's Day, brilliant weekend for the women, because in addition to boosting the goal difference again, the news came through yesterday evening that Gloucester City had pinched a point off Forest Green. So we watched the last couple of minutes of it on the train, believe it or not, because Gloucester put all their women's games on YouTube, which might be an idea for the club.
Yep.
And yeah, it was a 2-2 draw up in Gloucestershire, funnily enough. So really, really good news for the women and a fantastic result. So that possible treble is still very much on, I think.
Yeah. Fantastic news, fantastic news. Well done to the women's team indeed, and all the work that's going on there. Great job Brian Pikes has done this season. Right, okay. We'd also like to say as well.
Oh, sorry, one last thing, sorry.
Yes.
And they don't get paid a penny. There's some nonsense on Facebook this afternoon that's been knocking around. Oh, at a time of financial difficulty in football, should Torquay United be spending all this money on the women's team? Well, the players are playing for the love of it, and they're doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, that's a very, very important point. Well done, Clive. So let's go back to yesterday as we're recording this. Saturday, Ebbsfleet 3, Torquay 0. Right. I'll be lying if I surprise everyone. But yeah, I wasn't at the game. But I've got plenty to say. Yeah, I've got plenty. I was watching Franz Ferdinand actually. But in Bristol, but I've got plenty to say.
There was a centre half.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Matt Worthington's adage, take me out? And he did.
Very good, very good, very good. We've been writing them all day. Yeah, we'll break it down. I'll leave what I've got to say about the bigger picture to the end of it. But Tommy, Clive, everyone, take away. Start with Tommy.
Right, okay. So oddly enough, I changed my prediction for the game. I said 3-0, which would have netted me 5 points, but for some reason I thought we had it in us to score a goal and lose 4-1. So a bit annoyed on the Talkie Talk Prediction League on that sense. But yeah, look, my first trip to Ebbsfleet, not too bad of a journey from where I am, only a couple of hours by train. Met up with some Torquay fans, Darren and Anna, and yeah, just got there really early, went to the pub up the hill, had a really nice time, and then we got to the ground, and then the football started.
And that's always the worst bit.
Always spoils it.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely,
really
I should
annoying.
know. I should know better by now. Also, just to say, like, yes, Friday would have been my grandpa's 91st birthday. He passed away in 2019, and is the main reason I'm a Torquay United fan to this day. So I could just hear him in my ear, just like this is typical Torquay. Things never change at Torquay United. Bloody hell. Right, anyway, to the game. So there was no Jordan Thomas in the starting lineup. God knows what's happened to him. Injury, I can only presume. I was expecting a tough afternoon, and it proved just that. I mean, Ebbsfleet within 30 seconds were already bearing down on goal. And to be honest, we just looked in absolute shambles, to be honest. Defensively, absolutely abject. The goals we've conceded, the first ones coming from the left-hand side. Palmer makes a pathetic attempt to try and block it, and it just falls to the Ebbsfleet player who manages to slot it home for 1-0. I mean, it's just the same crap goal we concede every single week at this rate. Ebbsfleet didn't think much of them when they came to play more, and I have to say, I didn't think much of them the other day. But they did everything right. They controlled the game. I thought we were very limited up top. Didn't really offer much in the first half, and yeah, just we're down to bare bones, aren't we? And I just expect, the lads to really step up and just give it a bit of a go. And I just felt like we were playing for a 0-0, and then as soon as you concede a goal like that, I mean, game plans out the window, and then you're chasing the game for what, the umpteenth time this season, it feels like. Um, so you go in a goal down at half time, second half. Um, yeah, I mean, what can you say? Again, Ebbsfleet seemed to be in control of the game. We huffed and we puffed. We didn't really threaten up top. We go 2-0 down again. Another pathetic goal from our end. They've somehow got two players free in the penalty area. We can't clear our lines in front of goal, and they smash it in for 2-0. And then the red card moment with Matt Worthington. I mean, for goodness sake, lad, what on earth are you doing? That's great leadership from you, Matt. Fantastic. We're 2-0 down in a game of football, playing crap, and then you go in late like that. I mean, did they make the most of it? Maybe, but you can't do that. He's a day late and a dollar short, as Martin Brundle would say on the Formula One. And, the game's done, 2-0 down. But oddly enough, I thought 10 minutes for the 10 minutes after the red card, I thought we played the better of it, and we actually started to create a few chances. Fish came on, and he got us up there. He was very unlucky to be pulled away for a foul when he was through on goal. I think it was a soft decision, but then I think we absolutely had something similar in the first half, but I digress. And then I think Sonny Blulo Everton had one that he hit just wide of goal. And for 10 minutes, we kind of got ourselves a little bit up top, and then the third goal. I mean, once again, cross into the box. I don't understand how the two centre backs have one failed to mark their men properly, and yeah, two just ends up in the back of the net, and by then it's just game's gone. And I'm sorry to say, it wasn't surprising, but it's still disappointing. Like, we're just not fighting for it at the moment. And that was a big game. Ebbsfleet 2 points behind us. Overtake us in the league. I think they've got a game in hand on us as well. And also, I didn't realise. They've got the third best home form, but they haven't won in five. They haven't won in 5 games. They weren't in fantastic form, and we've rocked up and gifted it to them, and that's what hurts. Neil Warnock said in his post match he thought the players gave it everything. Okay, if you want to say face Neil, that's fine, but I left very angry, very disappointed, and our season we are in crisis at the moment because we are free falling down the table, and I just cannot see where another win's coming from at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, for a
Brilliant.
bloke who's so handy with a fire extinguisher, I thought Worthington probably poured fuel onto the flames yesterday, didn't he? There's no excuse for that. He's a well-paid footballer by our standards. We pushed the boat out really, get
Overpaid.
him into midfield, probably at the expense of having more adequate defensive cover. And we know he can pass a ball. Which we were told repeatedly about his leadership qualities. I've not seen them myself. He's only got the armband back probably because Warnock doesn't realise what a dick he was before Christmas. And I would love to see a change. Really, it's going to be difficult for him probably to get a move, and it'll probably be difficult for us to engineer one. But unless he sort of changes his modus operandi and starts, actually producing stuff that we need, it could be a long couple of years, I think, with that lad.
He was the big marquee signing, wasn't he? Really, the pre-season, everything we were saying that we needed last season. Really, that ball winning, sort of strength on the ball, and a leader, which again, we were all hoping that what we were hearing about this player, we were going to get. But we've seen precious little of that, have we? I mean, if he showed half as much endeavour than he does scrapping with his own teammates, then but from what I've seen of him, he has been a crashing disappointment, and he's been nothing to what we've needed and what we'd hoped he would be. So I mean, he's out now for what is it, 3 games? So,
Well,
from
probably
but I
play
Saturday.
think
Tuesday,
that's
won't he?
telling that both Clive and Tom were saying that you wouldn't have noticed he was off the pitch yesterday. So, but don't you think Ebbsfleet schooled us in the art of getting it in the mixer? Every single goal was a left to right, evading our defence, far post, 1-0. Left to right, ball in the box,
We just
evading
don't
our
know.
defence.
Look like that.
It's basics. It's training ground basics, and we're just not picking up. We're not doing it. Now, what the heck? If you're not doing the basics at this juncture of a season, we haven't got a hope. We're just going to plummet down the. I mean, I think the only saving grace is we've got enough points to stave off sodding relegation. Excuse my French, but it is such a damp squib of a final quarter of a season.
It's alarming. It's absolutely alarming how we have fallen off. It's ridiculous. I mean, like I said, you're down to bare bones anyway. We had 3 outfit players on the bench to come on. But I just want to know like the mentality of these lads. Like, 2 months ago, top of the table, things were looking great. Suddenly we've got more injuries and whatever's happened behind the scenes. I mean, you do wonder what's gone on back there. But for goodness sake, lads, I mean, you were backed by nearly 250 of us yesterday. I mean, bloody great support as always from the Yellow Army. And, you know, we've seen a lot worse in our lifetimes, no doubt, a couple of seasons ago for sure. But you just can't believe that this is the same football club under the Bring Consortium who have brought us such good times back to the football club and restored pride to the football club. I've got my pride flag that I bring to games, and I just don't feel proud to be a Torquay fan at the moment. I really don't. It's a labour of love, isn't it? You go for the love, not the glory. But I just think we were on a hiding to nothing anyway. So let's just at least go for it. If we lose 3-0 and we've gone for it, then I can accept that. But again, the goals we've conceded are absolutely pathetic. Pathetic. And you all come in from the box, no one's marking properly, bang. And yeah, it's a sad reflection of where this football club's going at the moment. And I honestly can't see us winning again at the minute. I really can't. And our injury problems, I mean, we need Dyer back like ASAP. But then again, he's going to need a couple of games to get back up to match fitness. Same with the others. So I don't know. I'm really concerned, and I think some of these lads, you need to switch on and switch on big time. Do you want this? Do you want this? Can you handle the expectation of this football club? Because it's unacceptable what's happened so far, and it's an absolute disgrace. Shame on you, because I tell you what, the fans I thought yesterday were terrific, and just to be left like that at full time, I just think it's a sad sight of where we are at the minute.
Do you remember I mean, if you can think, Clive and I probably have to think back a little bit further into the recesses of our memories, but when you were in the playground as kids, and your mate would have a falling out with somebody, or there'd be an argument and there'd be a big fallout, and people would take sides, and that could go on for weeks, couldn't it? You're not talking to them. I wonder, as puerile as it sounds, whether that's what's happened. The fallout from the Worthington Dolan fisticuffs, the players, it's affected them.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm trying to just put some kind of like reasoning and logic on why the fall off, the way we're playing is so awful in the last sort of like 6-7 weeks.
Well, I can try, right? Look, I've had a rant about Matt Worthington tonight, but I think we have to bear in mind the fact that two of the best central defenders in the league haven't been available to us recently. Last season we got away with Jordan Dyer having a couple of spells out, really. That was fine. Actually the decline had started pretty swiftly after he got injured at Bath, but obviously Drea's injury at Worthing has put the tin hat on that, really. In addition to that, we've got Callum Dolan out for the season, and we got Cody Cook nowhere to be seen because of his dislocated shoulder. So we really don't have the personnel to play anything like a top of the league team, in my opinion, at the moment. Yesterday, we were set up not to lose, weren't we, Tom? Dan Hayfield gets drafted into a back five, and you can sort of see it because, realistically, as Neil Warnock said in the press conference, we were always second favourites yesterday, and we needed to start solidly, which actually wasn't too bad. I didn't think it was an error for the goal. But of course, when you've set up like that and you're not doing very much at all going forward, the first goal can often kill you, and that was what happened. I wasn't watching it thinking people are raising the white flag, but also I didn't think we had a cat and hell's chance of getting back into the game. Really, people have got their theories about rifts in the dressing room and this, that, and the other, but there's so many occasions through sort of football history about footballers who couldn't stand each other, but actually, because they are professional footballers, they went out and did a job on the field. Unless it's explained to me that that's definitely the case, I'm not giving that too much credence. I think what you've got here, unfortunately, at the minute, is a team that has gone into free fall, and that they haven't got it within themselves to put the situation right.
That's because
what that needs obviously is some fresh leadership. I think Neil Warnock has been very clear that he sees it as a very short-term caretaker operation for him, and there's sort of noises coming out of the club as well that they're going to try and put that right and bring somebody else in. I think it is desperately needed. And last bit from me, sorry Sam, because I'm hogging this a bit, I know.
In a minute, don't worry.
There's a fair bit of criticism now. When things go wrong, everybody's got an opinion, haven't they? And that's understandable. And we're starting now, people are starting to say, well, why on earth did they get rid of the manager without somebody lined up to bring in? Well, two things for me on that. One, very often when a manager gets sacked, there isn't an immediate successor and there is an interim period. I mean, look at Man United, for example. They're not making a decision until the summer about what's happening at their club. And actually that's gone quite well for them, hasn't it? And the other thing is that in terms of when the decision was made to sack the manager, some people feel that it was premature. I think people that watch the performance at Eastbourne and then had to sit through a 5-0 defeat at Plainmoor last Saturday, I'm not sure very many of them would say, oh, let's just hang on because it might not get any worse and let's just wait until we got someone to bring in. Because can you imagine what the Farnborough game would have been like on Tuesday night? It would have been poisonous, I'm afraid, if Paul had still been there. Everything I said last week, 100% I meant. He's been a very good manager for Torquay United. He's given us some good times and we wish him all the very best. But it was time, in my opinion. And this is now difficult. This is probably a situation which might get worse before it gets better. But I'm going to finish on a positive because there are still 10 games to go.
Yeah.
And actually, all we need to do, the minimum requirement, is to finish 7th in National League South. We ain't going to do that if we keep performing like we did yesterday. But we have got at least one player to come back in. There may be, who knows, others to follow because most new managers are going to want to try and do something to the squad before the summer. And I just think we need to stick with it because we can sort of bitch as much as we like about how rubbish it is. And we've all, when you watch Talking United for a while, you'll have seen them get relegated. You'll have seen them bump along the bottom of the league. You'll have seen them in a situation where there's a property developer who actually just wants to flog the ground. And let's just take a breath and stick with it for a minute, I would say.
I agree. Very good summing up. Right, I've got a few bits to say. Some of them are a bit uncomfortable as well. Right. So personally, I'm not going to sit here for loads because I spent most of the season saying how much I believed in the squad and I believe we built a team that could win the league. The thing I didn't realise probably at the time is that we had most likely used up all our budget, which is why I was quite uncomfortable with having 3 centre-backs, one goalkeeper we see as a first team option. You need two of every position. So the football club for me has to make sure going forward that it has not, as we've done with like the commercial side, it has a football operations manager that's, you get everything, you get technical advisors, you get everything now, all these like Premier League clubs. But you do need it. So it doesn't matter who the manager is or isn't, there's always a good network for the club to go to in terms of loan players, signing players, or stuff like that, and helping find managers and things like that. Now, what's been happening recently, I will say, it doesn't feel very united at Torquay United. This is when we need to see off the pitch and on the pitch. We need to see more right on the pitch. So quite disappointed and let down by a squad of players I've already backed. When things go wrong, that's when people come through and they pick them up. When battering on about not having internal problem solvers on the pitch, I mean, it just shows it's. I don't know where I haven't been there. I don't know where that's come from, but you can just see it. Basics of football. Don't have to be the best football team in the world. There's still more than enough talent. Yes, they've put performance at absolute. I'm sorry. Just defend your box well. Those footballers are more than capable of that, and attack your box well. This whole give it to the creative players, put good balls into the box. We've got a chance to do that still. Or put it to the edge of the box. Give it Sonny Lou, Blair Everton. Give it Jordan Young, Morgan, whoever we're playing. Don't go in with fear. So yeah, that's the main thing. But off the pitch, so I'm gonna have an awkward conversation. Right, Neil Warnock. I love Neil Warnock, character. Extremely grateful that he has come in and he is doing this for free. Extremely grateful for what he did for the club in the past. Love him. But you cannot tell me that when a current manager is sat in a press conference, not agreeing or with the previous manager being sacked, that's good for the players. You cannot tell me when a football advisor is saying that the previous manager shouldn't have been sacked, that is good for the players or anyone. So that's the first thing I've been a bit disappointed with. I know people can say other things. I just don't think it's very good at the moment. I'm not blaming Neil Warnock for it. It just doesn't feel great. People need to get an act together and start solving things now with it. I love the Broom Consortium. Great. But it's not just that, but it needs to start looking at things and go, right, it's gone wrong now, but this is where we see what we're all made of as individuals and as a business and all stuff like that. So I'm just pretty much appalled. We need a manager and fast, and I'm sure things are working in the background. We need a manager who can come in and just install, as we said, 10 games. Said it last week. 10 games now. We don't have that pressure. We've got to win the league. We've got that pressure. Whoever comes in, it's not hard to look better, is it, than what we've seen over the last few games with Paul Watton and we've seen under Warnock. I'm sorry. but it's not as better. You know, pick these players up right. You're playing for the badge. You're doing it for this. You know, if people are going to leave at the end of the season, you're playing for your futures. You know, every footballer like loves the club, but they're looking for a number one. That's what we all do in the workplace. It's fine. So, you know, put yourselves up now. Do you want to be known as a squad that's done all this? You know, are you going to put yourself up? I'm not sure that, you know, I'm not saying that they don't care, they haven't got it. I think they're so much more capable than this still. So we need to see that with these players. But it is very awkward at the moment. You know, it's very imbalanced. It's not a balanced squad. You know, we said we signed Worthington because last season we missed that bite in midfield and he just hasn't delivered. I really thought maybe it's my toxic trait. I'm too optimistic in life. I really thought after the incident, it's all right. I'm knuckled down now, and I've really shown what I'm made of. But it's just not happened on the pitch. You know, I try to be fair, but it's just not performed. If I'm rubbish in my job, I'll get pulled up on it. Clive, Rachel, Tom, and it was a rubbish in our job. You know, they don't have a fan podcast rambling on about it, but they're professional footballers. You're privileged. You know, you're not paid for if you do your job and you know you're getting caught and you're not available for your team for 2 or 3 weeks, and you've had you know bad form and stuff like that. What do you expect? You know, what we need these people to find it within themselves and really just help with this stuff going forward now. But it needs to be solved. It needs to be solved bloody quickly because I'm sick of it. I'm really disappointed. I really thought these days had kind of gone. I was all accepting Torquay to lose games, but just to be set up so negative at bloody Ebbsfleet. I'm sorry, Ebbsfleet fans, if you watch it. Like, fair play, your team's done the job. And I'm still bitter over the 2008 FA Trophy final. But like, it's ruined my 8-year-old day out. But yeah, it's just. I really thought they will not come in. I wouldn't expect to start playing Barcelona football. Don't want that, but just start looking good going into the box and being able to defend their own box well, or anyone like under Paul Wine as well. And that's been the problem all season in a way. You know, like, I really missed last season's team in a way. And you know, you look at your Hassanis and Musas and that. And, oh yeah, but it's just like they're doing well in the National League now, especially Musa. So you got to move forwards. But it's just a bit embarrassing, really. It does need a reset at the end of the season. And what the last thing I will say, whoever is in charge, whether it's a manager and a technical advisor, or whoever is helping with that, football advisor, you go, right, here's your budget, X amount. It's not a case of how much talent can we squeeze out of that budget necessarily. It's what's the best squad I can get for the season. And that might mean you might not be able to get a couple marquee signings on big wages and big names, but it might mean that you're able to get, you know, a couple good defenders in as cover, you know, build your squad. No player is playing 46 games in a season. Let's be honest. So maybe one or two. I think Ben Winter did it a few years ago, didn't he? Or you know, maybe a keeper's obviously more so. But have options, and even when they're not playing as much, there's someone pressing. So if you're having a bit of a bad time, if you're a keeper and you're out of form, you can come out of the firing line for 2 or 3 weeks. You know, it's just useful. Build the best squad you have. You don't just go, oh, on that one, like a kid in a sweet shop. Oh, on that one. No, you get the best thing. And that's what's gone wrong. We have to have a strategic plan saying, right, here's the money we're giving. Go and get the best squad with that budget. You may not get the best players, but you get the best squad. So now we don't have a situation where we've got two fantastic centre backs and you know, just people know their jobs and roles to come in. We don't have to find someone from Sutton to come in and stuff like that. It should all be well coached. So if someone drops out, you know, they know their roles. Dan Ayfield in centre back. Dan Ayfield in centre back. The energetic midfield. So okay.
Definitely not.
I'm done with it. I'm
definitely.
done with it,
I
man.
do,
Oh,
you know,
positivity.
when we got the loan signing in of the Sutton United lad, Will Tizard, and we all go on their socials, don't we? Because we want to see, and it's almost like generic, isn't it? You got a good player here, lad.
Yeah.
But it went a bit deeper than that. I could see people saying, "I'm surprised he wasn't getting more
Yeah.
playing time," and he's a good centre half. And so I was thinking, well, at least we've been savvy in the loans market with this lad, but him and Palmer, I guess they haven't had long to work together, do training drills. So I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I'm kind of hoping that when Dyer, which I'm under the impression is quite soon, comes back in, he and Tizard might gel a bit more. And no, that's no disrespect to Ed Palmer because you know he's, you know, we're all really fond of him, but those two have really struggled, haven't they?
He's
the
limited, Rach. He's limited. Is that?
well,
Yeah, when
that's
the
what
manager
Neil
says he's
Neil
limited.
told us.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but Will Tizard isn't. He actually, on Saturday, he brings the ball forward quite well. I thought he's actually quite a footballing centre half. He's not just a clod hopping head the ball centre half. But so I don't know. I'm just trying to look at some positives that perhaps he'll gel more with
I
Dyer.
prefer old-fashioned centre backs who can
I
just
thought he was
head
poor,
the ball out
Rach.
the bloody box.
Just
head the ball out the box. Be okay on the ball, but head the ball out the box. Just do that. That's all I ask.
I'm in a slightly difficult situation here because on the train on the way back, we got talking to a fella, and it turns out he's Will Tizard's dad. So, hello, Nick. Thanks for following us, by the way. Appreciate the subscribing. He does try and play football, doesn't he? I suppose the thing is, if he's going to go charging up the field, somebody needs to slot into the space behind him. And there's clearly a player there, isn't there? He got a 3-year deal in Scotland up at Queen's Park before he came down to Sutton, and for whatever reason, the manager at Sutton doesn't fancy him at the moment, and he's desperate to come and play football. So, yeah, it's an opportunity, and let's hope his best days are in front of him. He's got the attributes. He's
got the attributes.
Big, tall, strong, isn't he?
My advice would just be to take it down a notch, really. Just find your player, just get the basics of defending sorted first. I think it's very much look like a defender who'd be very good in like a 3-5-2. I know we played 5-back yesterday, coming out of the ball. And I was like, God, but at the moment we just need basics. We just need basics to that's what the new manager needs to do. Take it back to basics. Defend our box well, attack the opposition box well. Things can start to come from then. But also, we don't need to be sat up like we're a team in a relegation scrap. It's not that situation. We don't need 11 men behind the ball. We're still trying to win. We're trying to play our way into playoffs here, not fend off relegation. So, yeah.
Can I just quickly clarify on Ed Palmer just now? He's limited. That's not my words. That's the manager.
That's what I said. Neil Warnock.
It's a good stick in it, and I'm sure Ed's plenty big enough and old enough to take that in the spirit that it's meant. But I don't know if he's not really talked that much about the squad, and the one that he's picked on, he's sort of told the world how crap he is.
Palmer and Nash.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, he knows he's forgotten more about motivating footballers than I'll ever know, but it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah, quite strange.
I think we've had the Neil Warnock Roadshow, haven't we? And I mean, you've only got to look at the chaps, the credentials over sort of 60 years or whatever. I mean, he's more Clarice Cliff than Armitage Shanks, isn't he, in the football world? But it has all felt a little bit hold the front page, hasn't it? Or hold the back page even, make the headlines. And the Jolly Japes, the Neil Warnock, biography and what have you. And it hasn't really benefited Torquay United Football Club. I'm sorry,
No, it hasn't. No. If I can make a few comments, because I said last week, I didn't mind Neil Warnock coming in for the game or two. He's not being paid for it, and of course I respect that. And obviously he still holds Torquay United in a high regard. But I don't know. I just feel like naturally he's probably not focused a lot invested into the management side. Obviously, he's already said he doesn't want to be doing this long term. He's been around long enough. And I don't know, it just shows a little bit on the pitch. I mean, the press conferences he's done, I want to know, what's going forward for the weekend? How are we preparing for the weekend? And naturally, of course, it's what eyes on Torquay United from the media, which is fine, fair enough. But and I'll clarify, because at full time, I did lose my rag a little bit. And he did mention that one or two fans were having a go at full time and the rest were all fine. I was in that 1 out of 2, I would imagine. Not that I was saying anything horrible. I was just saying to the lads, come on, you can't hide behind the fact Watton's not here anymore. It's easy to write on social media, oh, Gaffer, we've let you down, we've got to turn it round. And then not put the hard graft in on the pitch and in the training pitch. And then I kind of look over at Neil. He's clapping and he's kind of having a bit of a laugh and a joke with some of the players, and that just kind of set me off. Unfortunately, like I just viewed it like I'm glad he finds it funny. People have said on social media that well, that's just Neil Warnock's character. Like he always does it. So maybe,
He's a celebrity, Tom. He's become a celebrity over the years, hasn't
but
he? They were
but
queuing.
it
They were
matters.
queuing to shake his hand in the dugout at Ebbsfleet.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, but it really riles me up, Rach. Like, again, I'm a Torquay United fan, and I just view it like if he's not going to take it seriously, then I really just wish that we can get someone in on Tuesday. It does feel to me that we're kind of in a situation where we know the Bryn Consortium have got to take time and get the right candidate in. But in the same respect, I just get the feeling that we need someone in by Tuesday. We really do. Salisbury, we'll talk about a little bit later on. You know, they picked up a win on the weekend. They're going to come to play more with no fear.
Eastbourne.
Probably a fully fit. Yeah, they can beat Eastbourne. We can't.
Yeah.
Well, we can beat them we can thrash them at home and not away. But anyway, I digress. But I just got, it just set me off, and I've probably in the moment very emotional. That's one of my traits. Unfortunately, I am quite emotional when it comes to in the moment with Torquay United. But it just kind of, I just thought, why are you laughing in this situation? If you're going to laugh with the players, do it when you're off the pitch. Don't do it in front of 250 Torquay fans when we spent all this money to come here and watch the team and support the team we all love and adore. And we're just going down, down, down at the moment. I just felt it was the wrong time, Neil, to laugh. But what do
Yeah.
I know? I'm just a supporter of Torquay United Football
I
Club, the
do
only
see
club
that
that I
a bit
support.
differently. I do see that differently, you Tom. To be honest, he's been there, done it, got the t-shirt, and it probably lends a bit of perspective on these things, really, because at the end of the day, with the squad available on Saturday, we were always likely to be on the wrong end of a doing, quite honestly, and that's what happened, and we weren't good enough. And there's two ways, well, there's several ways you can react to disappointment. You can either demonstratively show how gutted you are and sort of beat your chest and like mouth "I'm sorry" to the fans, or you can just. I don't think he was laughing it off. I think sometimes you can see the funny side of stuff. I'm a big fan of Gallagher's humour myself. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to criticise Neil for that. It's one of those
Mm.
things. He's been handed a shit sandwich, hasn't he? Let's be honest.
Mm. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just more frustrated at the situation more than anything. I just, I don't, I just think it's poor. It's just poor. One thing I said it in the WhatsApp chat the other day in our group one, and I said it's a little bit like if anyone remembers back to about 2005, 2006 when Peterborough did a documentary. It's very good. It's still on YouTube. And it's got Barry Fry, and he brought in Ron Atkinson as a football advisor. And it's behind the scenes, and it's just a bit of a farce. It just feels a little bit like that. Great entertainment, great characters in the game. We all love Warnock, but it just feels a little bit like that at the moment. I just want to see more. Obviously, everyone wants to see a football club win, but I just want to see us feel like we're getting close to doing something.
They're
I'm
just
not
trying to
as,
muddle through, Sam. They're just
yeah.
trying to muddle through for a couple of weeks. That's all it is.
Yeah, but we shouldn't have got to that point of view, to that point in the season.
There's the old school. You saying that about Barry Fry, Ron Atkinson, and all those sort of like Steve Bruce and that, and it's often said that these are analog managers in a digital world. Football has moved on in so many ways in physical fitness and all like the sort of graphics that go with it. But it's like Clive has said, he has he's come in and it's all we've got, and he's offered that, and that's all we've got. But it's one of
But
those
why did they not just let Mike Edwards do it
thank
then?
you, but goodbye now. But we do need to we desperately need to move on and get some people in place.
They sacked Watson. Why don't they just keep Mike Edwards in interim then?
He's
Well, do you
he's
Well,
want
that's
to?
loyal, he's loyal to
Well, what do you
Watford,
want
I
to
isn't
don't
do
he?
think
then?
it
Do
would
you
work
want to have a
well,
guy who's never managed a senior game of football in his life, or do you want to have somebody
but
who's got 1600
I just
under
don't
his
think it
belt?
feels right. I just don't think I agree, but I just don't think it feels right. If that's the best, I don't know. But it's just I just don't want like this like to be like Neil Warnock won't get remembered for this at all, by that. But by some Torquay fans, I just don't want it. It's like okay, it's a mental comparison, but you saw what happened at the Johnson era. If that had just been quit a few years before, it just in a very short term way, it feels a little bit like that at the moment. I just how do I say it in a way where it's just This is obviously for Neil Warnock. He's had an incredible career, right? He's earned the right to do everything, of course, and we all love him. But the thing is, in this situation right now, you know, I just want someone where we're gonna the next appointment where we're working upwards. You know, we've got someone. This is everything. It means everything to them. At the end of the Gary Johnson era, it was like, well, I've done great at the start of my talkie spell, and I've done great stuff all the time. So these fans can't moan at me. You know, we just lost 4-1 at some, and it just felt a bit like that yesterday. You know, like I get it, but I just don't think it's a great situation for all, and I feel uncomfortable with how we're still talking about Paul Watson in press conference interviews as well. That just doesn't feel right. If the football advisor doesn't agree with the sacking, and now he's and then the next manager doesn't agree with the sacking of the people before, it doesn't feel right. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I think on paper having Neil Warnock for these 3 games is the best thing you can ever have, but the fact that he's the football advisor who didn't agree with the sacking, who brought Paul Watson in, and the manager, you won't have that in another situation. I think the last man shouldn't have been sacked. So anyway, any other situation, that's nuts in football. And you can't tell me that I'm not saying, well, this is the reason we've lost 3-0 absolutely. No. But it doesn't feel it feels quite awkward. It feels like there's many elephants in every single room, corridor, dressing room in Torquay United Football Club right now. And that's where you need leadership to come in and go, all right, this is happening. This hasn't gone well. Pull your weight, pull your weight. We're doing that. We're going to do our bit better. Done. You know, if you don't like it, that's fine. And, if it's a case where you're seeing football where loads of players are unhappy that a manager's gone, and I understand that. A lot of them are Paul Watton's players, which happens in football all the time. If that is the case at Torquay United, okay, but we've got to move on now. You know, you're a professional. So everyone just needs to be professional.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I don't think that's right. I don't think they've stopped playing because the manager's got sacked. I mean, actually, without being horrible about it, they've got the manager the sack. The manager wouldn't have got the sack if we hadn't stopped winning football matches.
It always makes me laugh with that in football, doesn't it? Like when it's like, I'm not talking about Torquay in general, where it's like, we're really going to miss this guy, but we've underperformed the last like 3 or 4 weeks or months in football. And it's like, okay. And then like I've seen it with like Leicester loads of times, and then 3 or 4 months later, it's we're going to miss this manager. I'm like, well, when we get to the point, and maybe there's bigger issues, So I don't know.
I don't want to be like an old fart, Sam. I am an old fart, but I don't want to in any way demean anybody else's views on this, right? But I think we collectively, what we need to do is take a deep breath, and I think we need to stick with it, because what Torquay United's fan base is quite good at is getting through the bad times. We've got more experience of that than many other clubs. We don't do this for the glory, do we?
No.
This is a really difficult passage at the minute, and we've got to get through it. And you probably need to have a little bit of trust in the leadership of the club, that they're working very hard, obviously, behind the scenes to try and bring in a permanent successor now. And until that happens, it is going to be a bit rubbish, I think. And actually, it might still be rubbish for a couple of weeks after that, because you can either have a new manager bounce, or it can be so badly broken that something needs to change. But let's just, can I say relax? Can I say just see what happens? We're going to be, we're still going to have a football club this time next year. There's an outside chance we can still get promotion, and you just never know.
Scary though, when you look at the teams behind us, all have got pretty much games in hand on us, bar Maidstone. I mean, we're only
it means nothing until we can get a run of games.
4 points off 11.
Table in 5 weeks.
That just shows the scale of how quickly it's gone worse and worse and worse. Again, we've got 10 games, we've got 30 points to play for. It's just about getting as many points.
What's also mental is someone said, I've looked at it, we're still in this run. I said we need to go and like run away with the league when we won at Hornchurch. We're, despite having 2 points in this run, we're 9 points off top.
9 points away.
It just shows if we carried on churning results out, we'd have been 4 or 5 points in the lead by now.
Tell you what else is scary. There's no wage cap in this division, right? You got YouTubers buying into football clubs. You've got Chelsea that have underachieved this season. Dagenham have certainly underachieved this season. We might be taking a knife fight to a gun battle next season as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
What
That
points
is
have you
scary.
made there, though?
That is
Yeah,
scary.
what points can we learn from this?
You cannot do an awful lot about that. What you got to do is, you said earlier, Sam, you've got to put as much money as you can into the playing budget, and then you need to spend it well.
Yeah.
You're right, Clive. I mean, sorry for interrupting, but like that's literally what I'm saying. Look at Truro last season. Say they had the best budget, you get X amount. It means nothing, especially I don't think at this level of football. You know, only when it was like we were in the league with Notts County, Wrexham, and Stockport in the National League 3 years ago. That was, and we still did a. I'm not going into it, but we still were close. You know, so it's just a case of right. That's fine. They can have all the noise. Yeah, you can bring a player down on 2, 3, 4, 5 grand a week. Yeah, so it's still a football player. You know, that he played in the National League South. You know, you build that squad, that unit, and we had that last season. We all felt for them. We all were behind them, and they put on everything for the shirt. And I really felt we were going somewhere. This season, I never really attached to them. Really, they were limited last season in places, of course, but you know, it was like they never really. I've never really got attached to this squad. It just kind of felt like, oh, we're footballers. We're playing Torquay a little bit. It feels like that a little bit again. They don't really. I don't know. It's like, oh, we're here for a project. You know, we're here to get maybe a couple of promotions on our CV, possibly, which would have been the dream. That's great. How are you going to get to that, though? You know, how would you go and prove yourselves? That's where I think we've gone wrong. But, you know, we can learn. We can learn. And hopefully next season, we've learned a lot, whatever division we're in next year. And it looks increasingly likely at this stage, we know what we're going to be in, but we can learn. That's the whole point. So the intelligent people and the best people in life, in business, personal lives, learn from when things go wrong. That's what Torquay need to do. And just put a proper football recruitment sort of package in above the manager and all stuff like that. So the football club's doing well. Get I don't know if they call it technical directors at this level or whatever, but just get head of football operations, something like that. Just knows what they're doing, and then that can go from there. Just build a scouting network, whatever it is. That might be there already. I don't really know, but build a proper scouting like database network, whatever it is, and then we can go from there. That's my advice. Have we got anything else to add? We want to talk about the TUS survey a little bit, Clive?
Yeah, just really a big thank you to everybody who replied. The survey closed on Friday. A little bit before that, we'd had 731 responses, which is absolutely fantastic. I think 48% of TUS members did respond. We're going to be crunching the numbers the next week or so, but thank you for everybody who's done that. It's been overwhelmingly supportive of TUS and what we're trying to achieve in terms of raising money for the club. And there was also quite a good, I think we had 177 responses from non-members as well. So, you know, it's the information that we're going to be able to gather from the survey. It's a decent sample size, and we're very, very grateful. Last thing I'll say tonight is these are my personal views on here, right? And I believe someone's had a bit of a pop today on social media about the way that I conduct myself on podcasts. I'll come on here and say what I think. Everybody else is in the same situation, really. I am not sitting here as a trust spokesman. Very proud of the work that's going on there. There's some very talented people involved in that, and that's all I needed to say about that, really.
Got a couple more bits. We've got International Women's Day with Rachel, and then we've got Kelly's Corner to end the episode. Rachel, take us away.
Well, it's just, you know, it's International Women's Day, and we all have our inspirations in life. You know, there's so many great women out there, but this is a football podcast. I love football. I've loved football from the moment I could stand up and kick a ball. My mum was always my inspiration. So and I've always inspired to be like my mum. She was clever, she was strong, she was kind, she was funny, hardworking. Um, but she loved football. She always, likewise as I do, from a young age. My mum always enjoyed football. And more so as she got older, she'd reminisce about Villa Park, and she'd say to me, "Oh, I do miss Villa Park. Oh, it was such a lovely place. It's a great stadium." She was always waxing lyrical about it, and I loved to hear that. Mum also, whenever she'd ask me what football's on this weekend, and whoever Torquay United were playing, she'd always know part of the country that was. And that always I used to think, for an old, for a tired brain, because I mean, I'm getting on a bit and my brain sort of doesn't compute quite as well, but for an older lady's brain, she was very sharp like that. So I've always had the football gene, and the obsession, thanks to my mum, who instilled it in me. So whether I'm obsessing over Torquay or Aston Villa or Dundee or the internationals, the bittersweet that football brings to all of us, the crashing lows that you get very often with Torquay United. And I've supported Torquay United for it's getting on for sort of 30 years. Aston Villa all my life, but it's just a thank you to my mum on this day, for bringing this love to me and encouraging it as well. So that I just wanted to say that on this particular day that's commemorating all the important women out there. So this one's for you, Mum.
It's absolutely beautiful, and that's what football's about at the end of the day. I know it's an escape. I know we can all get angry and upset as we are at the moment, but this is why we do football, and I think that's a lovely memory and sort of why we all do it. So Rachel, cheers for that. That's really beautiful. Clive.
Rach, that was lovely. Thank you for that. I forgot to say earlier, I saw the future of Torquay United this afternoon as well at the women's match. I was sat in the stand at Newton Spurs, and there was a mum in there with two young girls, her daughter and her daughter's friend, and we got chatting in the second half. The daughter was telling me about what a rotten night she'd had at Bath. It was cold. She couldn't really see very much and nothing happened. But she's going to Weston as well. She's a goalkeeper, plays in the under 11s, and James Hammond is her favourite footballer. So I don't know their names, but little shout out to you three. Made my afternoon, to be honest.
And that's another thing, we all sit here and, everyone's frustrated, but I remember being a kid, like all those, and my heroes weren't TV players. They were Scott Bevan, who was a goalie for Torquay at the time. They were Michael Polk, Tim Sills, Chris Hargreaves. That was the team I grew up around, the sort of Buckle generation of players. To kids these days, these footballers find it, find that not as like you need to do better, but find that as a comfort and like actually, yeah, go out and do it for the next generation as well. You're all, caught up in this world, but it's still a privilege. Go back to that if you're lacking confidence. James Hammond as well, so that's one. Sort of been talked about a lot at the moment. But just go back within yourselves and really remember, what you're doing, who you're doing it for. You're doing it for the young people. You're doing it to try and get promoted and all that stuff like that. So, that's really nice. And this is what Talking United's all about. I know it feels quite divided right now, and a lot of the time I think it's really toxic, really upsetting. But in a way, as bad as it is, it's still given me, everyone, all of us, an escape from everything else, like even when it gets really bad and it does take you down. I prefer to be down about Torquay United really than other things, if that makes sense. It's still an escape. It's still something to think about and get upset about and let off emotion, whether you're just fuming like we would have been at full time. I think that's what people have to remember with football. I'm not at all being like it's just a game, because it's talk about my mum, bless her, not a football fan. If I come home from Torquay, especially as a kid, well, it's just a game. Worst thing ever. You could say worst thing ever. But yeah, I think that's what we've got to remember as well with all of it. And that's really beautiful. And then to round up, we're going to go into Kelly's corner.
Yes, thank you everyone for writing in this week. There's a lot to go through, so I'll try and condense it all down and go as quickly as we can. Apologies we didn't do one last week for obvious reasons. We had a lot to discuss about, so thank you for contributing this week. We've just asked for your review of the Gull'S turbulent week, both on and off the pitch, and like I said, loads to go through. So first on Facebook, Phil Upton. Hello, Phil. Forgot to say, lovely to catch up with you yesterday, mate, and have a few drinks, and thank you for your support of the channel and look forward to seeing you again soon, mate. He says, great meeting up, Tom. Not a great game to experience, but hopefully news this week will lift everyone's spirits and injuries improve for the team. Nick Prowl says, can we swap the ladies team for the men's? Dan Avery says, sadly, we are in free fall. I think the injuries have clearly been a major factor in our downfall. However, I still feel there's a team there that should be capable of getting results. It feels that something isn't quite right behind the scenes, and as much as Warnock is a legend, I don't think that he is bothered. And while I understand not rushing in to get a replacement, we now need someone in as soon as possible, someone that can get us ticking again. As it is, I honestly can't see us winning again this season, sadly, but I hope I'm proved wrong. Stephen Badcott says it does seem strange that some people are suggesting continuing poor results somehow proves it was wrong for the club to sack Watton. It is just bizarre logic. The opposite is true. It absolutely demonstrates it was the right decision. It's not like losing 3-0 at Ebbsfleet is a worse result than losing 5-0 at home to Chelmsford. They act like we would have lost had Watton remained when it's his. We wouldn't have lost had Watton remained when it was his team, his tactics, his management that sees us where we are. He thinks promotion's gone. While we're still technically in with a shout, turning it around is akin to turning around an oil tanker. There aren't enough games left in this group to get him playing again. He worries about the quality of managers available at this time and feels the end of the season might offer better options. So he'd be tempted to install an interim manager only at this stage, or otherwise we will end up someone like Scott Bartlett, and he thinks that's a worse option than what we've just got rid of. Craig Hughes says, well, where do we start? After last weekend's 5-0 defeat to Chelmsford, you kind of half expect there'd be some kind of reaction from the players. It hasn't been there, and it seems as now the players do not care, as was shown against Ebbsfleet. We desperately need a new manager appointed to get some discipline back into the squad. For Warnock to make Worthington captain was a mistake waiting to happen. A pathetic tackle yesterday and the easy way out, getting himself sent off, so he now has a 3-game ban. A very poor signing that hasn't worked out at all. He's on a big wage, and that money could have been better used for signing 2 or 3 more players. We're in massive danger of dropping out of the playoff picture. Salisbury and Chesham at home, next 2 games, it has to be maximum points, but I really do fear it could be another 2 defeats. Tim Shern says, I believe there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to. Warnock was not the answer at 77 years old. He doesn't need the stress and has already made it clear that he thinks the board acted incorrectly in getting rid of Watton. It doesn't seem that any of the injured players are returning soon, and with no significant additions, I can only see the current decline continuing until we fall out of the playoffs. A new manager can't come in soon enough so they can begin to assess for next season. Daniel Webster Hall says fans got what they wanted by getting rid of the manager in 3rd place after some poor results. We now have a worse results and it doesn't look like improving. Maybe the fans don't have the expertise in those matters than they think they do. Dave Morris lost 10-2 in 3 games, lost a manager, and seems like some of the players have lost the wish to play for us. Off the pitch, Bryn took a decisive step, but now faces the first real challenge, how to get the team back together and get enough points to make the playoffs. We've got enough talented players to do that, even with the injuries. Warnock wouldn't do that. They have to step up, take a grip, and get a manager that can do that, as well as making the players understand their responsibilities. And Richard Glynn says, questioning whether it was right to sack Watton is not helpful. It was the right decision, and these continuing bad results are being produced by his assembled squad. The confidence may well be an issue, but that's Watton's legacy, and the injuries, well, again, this is Watton's legacy and a result of poor squad management. This cannot be fixed within a week, and showing Paul the door was absolutely the right call. It's his mess. Now we have to be patient, see who's brought in, and get behind the new manager. Warnock also needs to step away from the club when the new manager is appointed. Watton was his choice. He clearly has an issue with the sacking, and having him about the place going forwards will only hold us back.
There's some brilliant opinions there. I also love how there's like a range as well. Like if there's somewhere I don't agree with and there's somewhere I do, that's brilliant. So thank you, Yellow Army. It's been brilliant. The Kelly's Corner has been really effective the last few weeks. So keep doing that. Even if I don't agree with them, keep doing that.
That's what we're here for, isn't it, Swanee? At the end of the day,
Yeah,
we're
we are.
a voice
Yeah.
for the Yellow Army. So,
Yeah.
and obviously, Talking Goals Eye View wouldn't be what it is without you guys who support us every week. So thank
It's
you.
not about us, it's about Talkie fans.
Absolutely. And just a few more on X this time. So Chris Braun, nice to see you yesterday, mate. He says, I get why the board have done it, but the players need to take some accountability. Ebbsfleet didn't look all that. We was poor. Hopefully the board appoints someone soon. The question is, do we write off this season now? Joe Uggs, terrible week. Too much faith placed in Warnock's managerial abilities by the board to see us through this tricky period. Neil Warnock backing Paul Watton publicly and seeming to regard this as a bit of a laugh is not a great look. Imperative we get a new manager in this week. The earlier, the better. Matt says it's been a proper cluster beep. I have zero confidence for promotion now, and I generally don't think we'll get over 10 points from our remaining games. Will we ever make it out of this division? Ian Hayward.
Southern
Good
Premier.
evening, Ian. Ian Hayward says Worthington has cost Paul Watton his job. His wages used up all of the budget. Thus, the defensive cover we need now isn't recruited. His off-field behaviour was poorly handled, leaving issues in the squad, and his on-field performances have been rank. Yesterday's red card, icing on the cake. Disco Barry says apparently the team seemed to be short of ideas. Neil Warnock was upset about the performance at Ebbsfleet, but due to the bodies at his disposal, felt they played well and put in a lot of effort. Tuesday will be a big match, and it really is a must-win if we are to stay in the playoffs. Bob Bamber says a question more than a comment. Is it down to the postponements that player recruitment has stalled? More difficult without a permanent manager, but feels like the squad could use 2 or 3 extra right now. Devonian Tim, owners have made a huge mistake in sacking Watton. Cracks beginning to show at the top. My guess is they're going to take a punt on Neil Ardley. And finally, Tony Carroll writes saying, I wasn't there, but clearly Chelmsford was an unmitigated disaster. I voted to keep Paul Watton after, as we needed a plan and terrible time of the season to change manager, especially in our position. But I understood the decision and looks like we had a plan. Not sure if we did, but I guess Tuesday was a slight improvement. Again, he wasn't there. I was there yesterday in first half until this score was only okay. Second half was highly depressing. Perspective, Ebbsfleet away, a tough game, whatever form. We need someone to motivate. It's not going to be Neil Warnock by the looks of it. Matt Worthington is not suspended on Tuesday, he imagines. Will he be on the bench? No, so it's 7 days from the red card. So Worthington should be available on Tuesday, and then he'll be banned from Saturday. And that's it for the corner. Thank you so much, everyone. I said, it's an emotive time for Torquay United at the moment. But as mentioned, we don't do this without you. So thank you for your input. And some great answers there.
Can I say a couple of things, actually? There's this thing in football, and it's a little bit happening with management, where players are a lot better when they're not playing. As in, like, I've seen it a lot of all football clubs where you go, oh, that striker we never used, it was good, wasn't he? We only play, he wasn't that good. But they get better the less they play. And I kind of feel what we can't do with the Paul Watton sacking. I know that I get the point of, wow, it's got worse since, and maybe we should have sacked. But actually, look at the last 5, 6 results of Paul Watton, and you park it there. Okay, like all of a sudden his career doesn't get loads and loads better in this season because we've not played well in the 2 games after. That makes sense. Look at the 5-0, those who are there, the Eastbourne game, all stuff like that. Does that make sense? Like, the decision isn't then anything to do with like Paul Watton's ability after he's gone. You could look at the squad, of course, that he built, and have an opinion. But I think it's very easy that people get a lot better when they're not there. We call a manager rubbish, we call a player rubbish, and then 5 years later, like, oh, he wasn't that bad, actually, was he? So that's one thing I will say in terms of with looking at it all. But yeah, once again, I think that's a great episode. Anything else to add before I close it?
I was just going to say, yeah, we do have that habit of rose tinting, don't we?
Yeah.
A few of the Kelly's Corner comments have alluded to the whole, we shouldn't have got rid of Watton. Look what's happened. The results were they were terrible. For 5 weeks or whatever, we've looked poor. We've looked out of ideas. Our fitness has looked crap. We've looked shot. So again, I think a lot of people and. Myself included, because it did cross my mind yesterday a little bit, but were we a bit hasty? But then immediately I thought, no, we weren't, because let's not forget how awful we have been. So, yeah, that was just
and
a
we
good
lost
point.
7 games before that as well, It's not been great.
Yeah, I know, awful. So I'm hopeful, you get somebody in by Tuesday, that there will no doubt be a little bit of a surge of optimism, and that's always good, to start a football match, isn't it? But there is also the argument that's come in, and again, there's a few Kelly Corner comments, wasn't there, about bringing an interim in and then at the end of the season. But there's so much to sort of unpick, and so much to do, isn't there, in this short space of time? So I kind of have sympathy with the Bryn Consortium. I really do, because they must be tearing whatever hair they've got left out. So, but this is Torquay United, isn't it? So what will be will be.
Get to play more on Tuesday. Well, you look at the 5 of them. Actually, the hairline.
They've all got a good head of hair.
I think they got great heads of hair. Yeah, 1 or 2.
Well, they did have.
Might not be entirely the shade that they started with. I'm not sure. But they're keeping their hair all right. And what they need to do, of course, is keep their heads. And I'm confident that they will do. Honestly, I think it's very easy with this sort of stuff to you want an answer now, don't you? You don't want a new manager appointed next Wednesday. It's got to be Monday. Sometimes it's Wednesday. Maybe it'll be the Wednesday after that. I hope not, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. We just need to just try and stay calm and hope that the right decision is ultimately made.
Predictions then, Salisbury. I'm going to go 3-1 Salisbury in this current state. Clive?
Crikey. We should be able to get a point. I can't believe I just said that. One each.
Tommy?
I said 2-1 to Torquay last time, so I'm going to go 2-1 Salisbury this time.
Yeah. Rachel?
I was just going to add to this, because this was one of my only 3 away trips this season, Salisbury, and it was very windy, very blustery, and we beat them 1-0 with an early Matt Worthington goal. Took it well. They had a sort of an announcement board up, and I think I think Hayfield had a shot and hit the board, and it came up with ouch, which I thought was hilarious. But just very, very quickly, I'm looking at the team sheet in that October fixture at Salisbury, and it was Hammond, Denzel, Falston, Dyer, Dreyer, Dennis, Young, Dolan, Hayfield, Worthington, Kieran Dillon. Do you remember that lad?
Cute.
And Low Everton. So that was the team out that day. There was a couple of subs. Palmer came on, Morgan came on, Cody Cook came on second half, and Matt J did as well. So, but when you look at that team sheet, who have we got there? Dyer, Dreyer, Dolan, and that's it, isn't it? That's the 3. You take those 3 out, and that's the sort of nucleus of the squad that we are calling upon now, isn't it? And
Wait, is there a prediction in this anywhere?
well, sorry, but my point being that we're not that depleted, are we?
No.
Compared to that,
Still enough talent.
that team.
Still enough talent.
Well, there is. That's the point. And I'm just thinking, well, we're going to be playing them on Tuesday with 3 less players than we played. And really, we were comfortable that afternoon without really sort of turning it on. So I will go 2-1 Torquay United.
There you go. Up the yellows. Come on.
Get to play more on Tuesday if you can. That's my advice. Get there, support the team. Yes, it's tough at the moment, but we're Torquay United fans. We're used to that by now. So if you can get there. They need our support. Watch it on I think it's on DAZN on Tuesday, or listen in on the radio. Just get behind the lads, and it's frustrating and it's not a cheap venture watching Torquay United struggle in the National League South, but I thought the support on Saturday was pretty good, to be fair. So just try and bring that on Tuesday night, and win, lose or draw, just get behind the lads. Like I said, Torquay United don't like doing things easily, and this is just another one of them cases.
That's brilliant. Right, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for those who've watched and listened to all of this. We hope we've represented some reviews and all stuff like that. As usual, the boring stuff, please like and subscribe. And God, if we're being bad, can we at least get more views? Like, come on, at least that's been happening, eh, guys? Hey. But no, seriously, thank you. It's an honour to all of us to lead all this. So yeah, thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.